Luxury Unedited.
We're back. We are back. We are back.
Welcome.
I am Misha. I'm fed up of introducing her. Okay.
I am Nez. And I'm happy to introduce myself.
Yes, and we are just getting wilder.
And today, this is our friend,
Fabien.
So nice to be here in your company.
Nice to have you here.
Yes, we are honoured.
I have to say, today's topic
is your favourite.
Is the world of art and also a little introduction into collecting. But what I really wanted to say was,
my hair looks better than yours today.
Oh, no. She's obsessed with this hair topic.
Yeah, cool. Can't be doing it with them.
Back to our guest.
Yes, sorry.
What I really wanted to say was,
Fabien has good hair as well. Yes,
he has.
Yeah.
You're a handsome devil.
I've been told I have billionaire's hair by one art dealer, but it's just
the
hair.
Oh, yeah. Do you have the bank account on that? Okay, there we go.
But what I wanted to say was, we met perhaps a year ago through a good friend, Soraya Shaheen, and it's funny, like
I have a more exciting story of how I met Fabien.
Everyone, when they were like, Fabien's coming to Fabien's doing a pop-up to Fabien, and it was like, I was like, who is this man?
I'm blushing.
Yes. Who is this man? So we would love to know a little bit more about you, your career in art, and you have an amazing, not only in
I'd
terms
like to first of all blow my own trumpet.
Oh.
Do you remember on the first episode we talked about shoes, bags, really expensive stuff experience? And Nez said, well, if I had extra money, I'd buy art. Today we are doing art. This is for you, Nez. This is for you, Nez.
It's always about me, but Misha doesn't understand that.
So, back to you. Sorry, Fabien. I just wanted to get that in.
Because, I mean, you've got quite a history in the sort of art world. You're really up there in terms of the who's who.
You're very kind. I started young. Maybe this gave me a bit of an edge early on.
And why did you start? How did you even think, I want to go into art?
Oh, because my family was collecting on a modest scale.
Yeah.
And they were always very open and interested in art. And
where did you grow up?
In Belgium.
Belgium?
Close to Maastricht.
Chocolat, I love it.
Put on the map for the famous Stefaf Art Fair. So very close to Maastricht, but just across the border in Belgium.
So tell us, so then what did you do? Because I read somewhere you were the youngest ever brain box in art somewhere or other.
Again, because of an early start. You mean at Christie's perhaps, when I did the education course?
Yes.
Yeah. This was mainly to stay out of the army, which at the time in Belgium was still compulsory. And so I enrolled after high school studies in Switzerland, where I actually started my career a little bit in a boarding school. Yeah, because I was quite interested in art and buying some works by young artists for myself. Nice. And then my friends,
so when
15,
was your
16 years old.
How old were you? Your first art
15,
purchase?
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hustler, baby.
I think I bought a Twix at 15.
When you could still buy interesting works for a handful of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. Not such the case
there were
anymore,
no euros.
darling. Not such the case anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And then so you started off in that young career. So how did you really do a deep dive into the art world?
Well, hold on. I want to ask one thing. When you bought it at 15, did you buy it to sell immediately? Or did you hang on to it?
To who?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was nobody around.
Yes.
There was. But what I would do is I would identify artists. I would do my own research, my own education through mainly Flash Art magazine and Art Forum and things like that. So I would be obsessed with this. And there was a little shop, a bookshop down by the lake. Not far from the school, a 10-minute walk.
Sounds pretty idyllic.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, it was quite nice. Yeah. And they used to have all the great publications of the time, like Flash Art, Parquet Magazine, Art Forum, etc. And I would always rush on the day that the new publication would come out to collect the latest.
That was
issue.
like us with Vogue, right?
That's like us with Vogue.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, "What's he on about?
Yeah.
You know, he's mad."
Yeah.
And you're still mad. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Are you also an artist or no?
I was just going to say, I must be one of the only pupils in school who didn't attend art class. Because I have zero creativity, sadly.
Well, you have a creative eye, obviously.
I think, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works.
So please don't tell me that that first piece of art you bought was a Picasso.
Yeah.
Not quite.
But
not
it
quite.
was
That would have been boring, don't you think?
Yeah,
That's just a matter of money.
Would have been nice. That's a matter of money. That's true.
Yeah. So what did you buy?
I bought some Antiligoni drawings, Anish
Ooh.
Kapoor, works on paper.
Oh, you bought some Anish Kapoor.
Yes.
You really have the
Basquiat
eye.
work on paper.
Basquiat.
I was also well guided. I had a family member who I would bounce ideas off on, and he would point me also in the right direction. So I think that's very important.
Do you still have any of those?
Yes,
You do?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of
I bet you they're worth a lot more than a few dollars now.
some of them,
Yeah.
but then again, it's part of the
part of the process.
trajectory, and and then this led to then visiting Art Basel while I was still in school, which was maybe 2-hour drive away, and so again I was exposed at a quite young age to what was at the time, of course, also already a leading art fair, not as big as today, but still very interesting source of information and all that. And then it just kind of took its own life from there.
And then how did you get into it professionally? I mean, was it like a freelance thing, or did you? I thought you went into you created a fund, or you partnered?
No,
with
never.
Franklin?
No, never
That's
fun.
Madoff. That's Madoff.
Yes.
Same hair.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Just because when I was buying works for myself, my friends would want to buy as well, and then
interesting.
Oh, like, can you
So
guide
I thought,
us?
okay,
Can
so
you
if
help
I sell
us?
art, I can actually buy more art. So it was as simplistic as that, and it's kind of stayed simplistic in a way. I've never really considered this as a business, although it's of course it's rather a passion that I like to
Feed.
share with people. Yes, than actually I don't like to be on the transactional side of things in a way.
I definitely can vouch for that. Because I have to tell the story of how I first met Fabien.
Yeah.
I'd gone to see Asma for a piece of art, and it was July or September. No, when was
September.
it?
Asma
No,
Must be
owns
September.
a
It must have been
gallery
September.
in Dubai.
Sep-
No, it was before it. You were away. You were in.
Oh,
you
yes,
were-
yes,
you
I
were
was
in
away.
Marbella.
Yes,
So it must have
but
been-
then we didn't meet.
Yeah, we didn't meet.
You came to the
that's what
gallery.
I mean. So I came to the gallery.
That's right.
So what happened
That was in the summer.
it was in the summer. There was no work. There was like 3 pieces of. I finished from one gallery, and I just walked down. I was going to get into the car, and something drew me to this gallery. There was nothing in there except a Michelangelo statue, right? I think there was a. Who's that by? The
By
squash
Adam
one.
Parker Smith,
By Adam
the
Parker
marble-
Smith.
the
There
marble
was that
sculpture,
in the middle.
yes.
And then there were 2 works of art on the walls. Everything else was gone. So I went in and I said, do you have anything else? She said, if you just go around, there's a couple of pieces. And I walked around, and there was the Zhangji.
Yes.
And it was in this turquoise green.
Beautiful
And
color.
I remember calling my husband and saying, I'm going to buy this. And he was like, oh, God, can you send me a picture? And
Here we go again.
and
Yeah, he's used to those. He's actually a bit scared of those WhatsApps.
Absolutely, I don't know what it was. It just, it's the only way I ever buy art. I'm completely drawn to it.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason. I'm just completely drawn to it. So I asked the girl. She said, I don't know. She gave me a price. She said, but you have to. I'll get someone to get in touch with you. And the next thing I know is, hi, this is Fabien. I'm in Marbella. And I said, oh, very nice.
Fabien.
And we started this conversation, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then I agreed to buy it, and then it was boxed up and that. And then when he came back, I met him, and subsequently.
I'm not so happy
Yes,
to
this
see you
is
again.
Yes.
Yeah. So you started working with Fryns, and I guess then people started hearing about you and wanting to.
Yeah, not so much. I kept it very, very small
very
in a way.
small.
Yeah, in a way. And then I was actually quite knowledgeable, quite informed, let's say, about contemporary art, but not so much about the history of art. So I decided to do this Christie's course, which was a 2-year course at the end, at the time, back in South Ken, opposite Francis Bacon Street.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Francis Bacon.
I saw once at Patisserie Valérie.
Yes,
Asking
they've
the
all-
prices. How much is that one?
Yeah.
They've all closed
£1.85.
Oof.
And this one, £1.20. I'll take that one.
Yes, because the
Really?
65 pence would get you. The
Yeah, there's
60
hair up
pence.
like
But
this.
that was the place to be.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And so then I did 2 years of that, and then I did some business studies in Brussels, Paris, and London.
But all this time, were you still buying and collecting? Or were you just
yes.
studying?
Yeah.
My business studies, I don't recall having been to class ever. I think I was all the time in the auction houses and the galleries.
Sounds a bit like me.
Don't
And
listen,
every
any
single-
kids out there, don't
Sounds a bit
listen.
like me.
And every single assignment was related to art or the art world.
But what made you do that then?
Love of it, I think.
Go into
At
business
the army
studies.
again, there was always this thing of the army. I'm sure the army is a
I
great
hope
thing.
they're not going to call now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but the thing,
Fabien, now's
no,
the
but listen
time.
to me. I'm from Belgium. It's not a particularly
Yeah.
big country.
Yes.
And also, if you know what you want to do in life,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but to spend 2 years in the army at the time.
Oh,
No,
it's
no.
2 years. It's not 1 year.
yeah,
it's
it was
2 years.
like 2 years, and I thought, no, I'm in a hurry. I need
Yeah.
to,
Do things.
and so I didn't want to got distracted.
But
by
it's
it.
interesting that it was business, not something more creative, like history of art, like what?
Well, my parents wanted me to go into the family business,
Right.
so I thought,
Do they
well,
have a gallery?
No, they were in Oriental carpets.
Ah.
Actually,
So
second
that's what took
generation.
you to China.
No,
Oriental doesn't necessarily mean
No.
China.
no.
Careful with
But-
the language,
but- yes, but-
Timothy.
Yeah, true.
No,
that.
but my father used to go to China 3 times a
Yeah.
year, to Iran, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, Nepal, all these places
Wow.
to source since the mid 70s to source carpets directly, and this was a fantastic business. But then I thought, for one floor, you have 4 walls,
Yeah.
so let's focus on the walls.
True.
So no, it's because it's art is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love carpets and Persian carpets in particular.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
It's for sure an art form.
Yeah,
But,
and they tell a story. It's all about storytelling as
yeah.
well.
And actually, we had a show in Dubai.
Oh, you did?
Well, my father had a show in Dubai. It must have been in the mid 90s.
Wow.
Wow.
I think like everyone came. It was like 20 people turned up. I mean, it was a small place, evidently,
Yeah,
at the
yes,
time. And we had
yeah.
this huge exhibition. I'm not sure how it went. But anyway, that was my first time in Dubai. It must have been mid 90s. Yeah.
So then after you did the course, what took you, because I know you specialized in,
Spent 15 years in China,
China.
right?
Yes. Well,
Chinese
first
art.
then I opened a gallery in the Marbella Club in Marbella in the south of Spain.
I mean, there's a theme here. It's a bit of a party boy, I think.
This was not party related. This was
Yes, whatever you say.
Yes.
Fabien.
This was-
Marbella, no party.
London was it was out of my league at the time. I thought if I open a gallery in London with my own very limited means at the time,
Yeah.
at the age of 23 or something,
Yeah.
and then you at the time you had to calculate that you need to survive for 3 years with a gallery before you
Yes.
can turn a profit.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Why 3 years?
That was kind of because it was a much
because
smaller
the
market
first
at
year
the
you
time.
lose, the second year you break even,
Yeah.
and the third year you,
Yeah, if you're lucky.
if you're
yeah.
lucky,
If
you
you're
make
lucky.
a marginal
You need
profit.
to set up and everything, get the name, and so it takes
Yeah,
a certain
takes
time.
People's
time.
trust as
It's
well. I mean,
trust,
to get
exactly.
known,
It's
trust.
all based on
I'm
trust.
not even
yeah.
sure if they have that longevity now or that ability to take their time.
Everything's quite quick today, I
Yeah.
suppose. But then, so I thought, wait, with my budget, I can definitely last much longer in Marbella, where I kind of grew up, and make some mistakes that no one's going to notice. Now, incidentally, during COVID, these kind of holiday places have become quite popular for
Yes,
art,
Of course,
like Palm
because
Beach,
you are able to live a
yeah,
relatively
the
normal
Hamptons,
life.
etc.
during-
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
But that was a good exercise. I had a gallery for 10 years.
And what did you learn in those 10 years? What was the sort of key learning?
Stick to your guns. Go with
I
your
like
program
that.
and don't try to adapt to the market, because in that case there was no market.
Yeah.
There was a lot of money around. For most people, these were holiday homes. They might have super duper, very important blue chip works at home in their main residencies, but in their holiday house,
They
even though
wanted
this might be multi-billion-dollar houses, they would have posters on the wall.
Yeah.
And so I really tried to stick to show artists that I personally also collect or
Yeah.
would like to collect, given the means.
Yeah.
And again to share that passion with people instead of just being transactional and saying, okay, I'm going against the trend, I need to better go with the trend, and so I try to always avoid that.
And
I
what
think
was
this
the
is very
geography of
important.
these artists? Like, was there a
Very
particular-
wide.
Very wide.
A lot of female artists. I'm talking back in the 90s. Worked a lot with Luxury Unedited, with collected Men Golden. I can't mention all the names now. I kind of, but I did actually a lot of photography back then in those days. which I do much less now, sadly, for some reason.
That's true, actually. I was thinking about that. We've just had Art Week, and I don't know, behind the lens, I consider a lot of photography like it's art, right?
But
it's not.
yes, for sure, there's no doubt about it. But from my very limited knowledge here, it seems that photography is still kind of thriving in the region. In China, it was a very important medium when I arrived in 2004.
Do you not think that photography thrives because a lot of people understand it a lot more and can relate to it a lot more, and also it's at a lesser value, so it gets them into... I know there's a lot... The one thread that I had when I put out the topic on my Instagram page was that everyone wants to start
Collecting.
They want to start collecting. They're very apprehensive. They don't understand. It's like it's navigation. They don't know how to get into it. They don't know, should they be, they don't know where they're led. There's a lot out there, and they're scared of making the wrong decision. Whereas really, it should be like when you buy a watch.
Yeah.
Buy what you love, not to resell.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's about
Definitely.
but what did take you to China? I mean, that's quite a big leap of faith. Right?
Yes. Well, it wasn't a leap. It was just a friend of mine, Chris Mile from Chambers Fine Art, we had a gallery in New York. We were doing an art fair together in, I think it was Palm Beach or Miami.
Yeah.
He said, hey, there's an art fair in Beijing.
Hold on, you missed Palm Beach and Miami. What
Yeah,
happened
exactly,
there?
of course.
Art fairs. I was doing lots of art fairs.
Party.
In the 90s. And
good for you, Fabien.
so Chris said, there's
art fair in
an
China.
art fair in Beijing, the first contemporary art fair of in China. Do you want to go? I said,
What year was this?
Absolutely not. 2004.
Ah, okay.
Oh, not that long.
And I'm like, absolutely not. Why should I? And he's like, no, but let's go. And then the booth was ridiculously cheap. I thought, okay, why not? My father's been going to China for so long. I'll go and have a look myself. And so we
went for 2 weeks and stayed for 15 years.
Exactly. Yeah, in a nutshell. And the timing could not have been better, accidentally. But it was just, you felt the energy when you arrived there in Beijing in 2004, not knowing anyone, by the way, except for Chris, who lived actually in the US. I mean, nobody speaks English.
Yeah.
At least in those days in Beijing, the taxis, I don't know how we got around.
Yeah.
But
I
we
used
managed.
to do a lot of work in China, and it was
different.
Well,
a different
even
world.
the phones, you couldn't use your phone. You had to have a different type of phone, different pin. There was
the
no
whole
way
thing.
of, you were completely
But the
cut
energy,
off.
and again,
the energy. Yeah.
The most important thing, basically, the artist. I mean, in my profession, the artists were so exciting and fresh and relevant to the times, to this immensely changing society. And
so it was Chinese artists you worked with, or you still kept
no,
your
but when I arrived, I was showing David LaChapelle at the time, with who I worked a lot, because I had no idea what people might get excited about in China, and so I thought maybe David Beckham in leather underwear, leather leopard underwear.
Well, that's who I used to go.
And things like this.
She used to go to China with,
Yeah, you see. A small world.
We probably met each other in China as some sort of...
Could it be?
Yeah.
You know?
They had these crazy, hidden bars in, the 130th floor of the...
Yeah, it was such fun.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was a very fun
But you
time.
felt an energy.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got to stay in this place. And of course, everyone thought I was mad.
Yeah.
So how did you transcend that energy into then work and then representing these artists and then bringing them to the...
Yes, I opened a space. I went to all these studios, and they kept on saying, here comes another foreigner with lots of promises, and then he'll walk away with some art on consignment on his arm, and we'll never hear from him again. This is before WhatsApp and things like that. So
I don't think you can have WhatsApp, can you, in China? It has to be...
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
Yeah. But so anyway, so communication was not as easy and open as now. And so I thought, no, I'll be different. I'll have a space here with my name on the door. And so, I'm serious about this. And I ended up having a gallery in Beijing.
And was there a particular, in terms of the artists, trend that were they painters, were they sculptors, was there a particular, was it very
Everything.
traditional, were they able, I always find it super interesting because it's something that people talk about all the time in the region, was like your heritage, like hold on to your heritage. I'm interested to know how they managed to use their heritage or not in their art, or
it's a fast scene over there. I mean, don't forget, Beijing, when I arrived in 2004, was a city of 15 million people. Today it's about 28 million people.
Wow.
It at least used to be the art capital of China, so I visited thousands of artist studios, which I love. Just rows and rows and rows, a bit like Azergal, but full of artists.
Which are the ones that stand out? You must have some that stand out.
Yeah, a lot of them. But mainly, I one of the artists I met, took me about a year to actually finally 8 months, to finally come across him. Everything was new, there was also, you weren't much guided as to who would be more interesting or more established or better than another artist, etc. So you have to kind of just
feel your
on
way.
the ground find your own way.
But isn't that the best way?
So you again went with your gut and your passion.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. And then 8 months in, I met many, many interesting artists, and then finally I came across to this studio which was a bit more isolated, which is uncommon because most of them, they're like, like Azergal Avenue, lots of artist studios, you go from one to the next, even without appointment, just knock on the door. That was in the day, not anymore. That's evolved now. Sadly, in a way. I come across the studio with this guy and,
You fell in love.
fantastic, yes, absolutely. Love on first sight.
And his name?
And this was, I still don't pronounce it correctly in Chinese, but Zheng Fanzi.
Oh yeah, wow.
Who was then an established artist, but not not amongst the leading artists in China.
Yeah.
And then we had a fantastic long-term friendship and behind the scenes a bit working relationship together. And also I collected his work and did some museum projects with him, some publication and things like that. So
that's quite interesting, that relationship between the gallerist and the artist. What do you feel is important as a gallerist in terms of supporting
well, actually, to be honest with you, this is why I'm actually not so keen to have a gallery, because I was never the gallerist of Zheng Fanzi, for instance. But we were very close. We would hang out 3 times a week. We smoked countless cigars together.
Okay, thank God you said cigars.
Which is also nice to enjoy with friends. And actually, if I had a very open relationship with him in the sense that I'm not his gallerist, so I can advise him without having my own interest at heart.
Yeah.
So much more freely,
which I'm sure he valued as well.
Yeah. And so that's why I don't feel so comfortable in the end to have a gallery, because I like the freedom.
Yeah, you seem to do a lot of takeovers. I've seen it.
Only once.
Once. I thought there was a few.
It was a friendly takeover,
yes.
Not a hostile.
It was us.
I got talked into it.
But there was a gallery you wanted to talk about. You just mentioned earlier on.
The Dunham collection.
Dunham.
This.
Can we talk about the Dunham collection?
Yeah, it's a fabulous collection. I don't know if it's it was a vineyard that incorporated an art collection, and it might have become a public collection with a vineyard attached to it now, because my friend who's the owner, this couple, they put in so much effort and love into what's a passion for them. It's a passion project. It's not their main business. And so since they bought the vineyard, I think it was in 2011, I believe, they've really established a fantastic collection that's open to the public. Amazing. Most of the works are site-specific. There's some really, really challenging installations there. Challenging from a perspective of a collector. It's a huge commitment, not only to produce the works, but to install the works. For one work, they had actually almost a house, a whole room built for Louise Bourgeois' spider.
How amazing is that, to really be able to stretch your wings in a project like that?
And they support lots of artists, and it's a fabulous initiative. And this actually grew out of my time in China as well, because the owner and his wife of what's now the Donham estate and collection. They came to my gallery one day in a kind of beat up Cherokee, and they wanted to get into buying some art. I think he might have bought 1 or 2 pieces before, but nothing really of consequence. And so I started to advise him, and got St. Van Zie to do his portrait, for instance, at the time, which was very, very special. And this then eventually grew from someone who started buying art to fill or decorate his houses to this kind of
huge project.
Extraordinary
an investment
project
into the art world, really, if you're commissioning artists and allowing
them
level. To have that kind of
and the sky's the limit, and they're not afraid to I also like to introduce in the collection some younger artists, and sometimes the installation costs are more expensive than the actual artwork. So I mean that's a real commitment in the sense. It's not it's a long term commitment and view. Yeah.
Which actually leads me to a question: if you could have anyone's art collection, whose would it be?
Oh, I don't know. I'm happy with my own, to be honest with
great.
you. But
that's what I
don't want to sound pretentious.
No,
it's a very small collection. But the thing is, I think this is very difficult. I've experienced this several times, and now you saw also with the Paul Allen collection. It's very difficult for one collection to stay together. I think we like to have our top picks and chooses from certain collections, but I don't think there's a particular collection that I would say.
So in terms of, I'm a bit intrigued by you being in China.
Yeah.
Was it a global clientele? I mean, how did you still?
Yes.
How did you maintain that visibility?
In the beginning, it was mainly Chinese buyers, an older generation of Chinese buyers, and then gradually after, I think it was Sotheby's at the first Chinese contemporary auction in New York in 2006, I believe, 5 or 6. This suddenly put China on the map, the contemporary art scene. Maybe too much in a commercial way, but suddenly we got busloads of people, of collectors, of curators, of museum directors and what have you, coming through the region. Not dissimilar to what's going on in this region today, actually, in a way. That's why I see.
Where do you see Arab art today? Or Middle Eastern art, shall we say?
Oh, I'm really not very knowledgeable about Middle Eastern and Arab art, but I went to Saudi in 2014, where I met a few of the artists.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of relationships between the Middle East and parallels and China.
Yeah. In China, I don't think they're much exposed to Middle Eastern art.
No.
I have the impression, no.
Are they interested in buying contemporary art from the rest of the world, or is it purely from
No,
Chinese
actually it's changed. It's interesting you asked that.
Yeah.
The younger generation now, the millennials, in China, they're buying almost anything but Chinese art.
Wow.
So, it's a complex situation in China right now, because also creativity...
I also find that's probably a little bit of a pushback, they want to rebel a little bit, right?
Yes.
That's their way of rebelling.
So I would have thought it would be the opposite way around. So you know how there was a time where it was the rest of the world and China wanted to learn about the rest of the world. That's when I thought that they would be buying non-Chinese artists. But I feel trends in the other creative industries, now it's the younger generations that want to buy into something more local. So, the younger generations want to buy Middle Eastern artists. They're not so keen on, they want to see the expansion and the
here,
success.
But I think because of what's happening in China and in the region, I think the younger are trying to rebel. And that's why, that's my viewpoint. That's probably very wrong as well.
Well, it doesn't
I have
matter,
to say,
it's
this
your
is a very serious discussion.
It is.
There's not a lot of fun in this one. I need a bit more naughtiness. No, it's great.
I'm
She's
fascinated.
fascinated. I've never seen Nez so quiet. It's not a good thing.
But, there's been a common thread in everything that you've been saying, and that's passion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
And I think people forget that because... in my modest little way, I do collect art. But
you do actually. I've asked you as well. I've asked you, what do you think? And she's exceptional, actually.
And it's all passion driven. It's all a very, very emotional decision.
I think that's the best way.
And
well, you have to live with it on the wall, on your wall.
Yeah.
Like I was discussing something with someone recently because there's some really exceptional Syrian artists, right?
Yeah.
And I had a Syrian friend over to my house, and I said to her, what's the art like at the moment? Because I've got a Madaras up, right? So he's, pretty decent, and I wanted to see what else. And she said, well, because of what's been happening.
Yeah.
She showed me something. It was all very painful, obviously, because in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever the horrendous situation that Syria is under, the artwork I find it painful. It's not just dark. So it's something that I couldn't have on my wall because I need to feel buoyed by it. I need to feel happy by it. I mean, I have some mixed media that people think I'm crazy. I have Egyptian artists, I have Lebanese artists, I have, Syrian artists, a lot of stuff. I have now Emirati.
Yeah.
I do have
Congratulations.
one Chinese. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
A brilliant artist.
Yes.
Sheikh Anmarus.
Yes.
Mazroui.
Yeah.
Who really is a sculptor.
Yeah, she's a sculptor.
That's the other thing also, right?
Yeah.
You want people to kind of have a reaction when they come to your home about the work of art, right? It's
and it's funny because
surprising sometimes.
Someone came around. They were like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to have art like this." I think obviously I'm always wearing black. I don't know, but a lot of the art I have hanging, it's very happy art. It's full of colour. Even if it's quite a dark subject matter, it's mostly full of colour.
It's uplifting.
So there's obviously something that I like it to sort of take me away from where I am.
Yeah.
And take my imagination.
So if money was no object, what would you buy right now?
I'd probably buy one of Sheikha's pieces, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I love her
I love
work.
him, yeah. Are you, Fabien?
I'm yet to discover Sheikha's work, but now you really piqued my interest.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's with Loy Shabibi Gallery.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know to find them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So cut to this conversation I was having. I think we met very briefly. You probably won't remember. Last year's Art Dubai.
You mean not in China when you were together with David Beckham partying on the 130th floor? Okay.
What a shame. What a shame.
But before you walked up, everyone was like, "Oh, Fabien, have you heard? Have you heard? Fabien? Fabien's having a takeover."
I didn't really know that this reputation preceded.
Yeah, I was like, who is this man? I was so intrigued. And you are very well loved anyway in the
that's
industry.
very kind.
Yeah, very well loved.
I do my best, but
and and I think that's important because sometimes this industry can be a bit daunting. I think less so. I find less so in the Middle East than it is, say, in London or New York or wherever, and which is a shame.
That's it. People have a fear of who to trust, because if normally they associate buying a piece of art with letting go with a lot of money, right?
Yes.
So it's getting that trust, isn't it, of being guided. I had a bad experience. You remember that, Nez? Remember? With somebody. We're not going to mention any names. We won't mention any names. But he took it very personally. He wanted me to buy a piece. I thought I wanted the piece, but then when I came with my husband to see it, it was flat. Didn't talk to me, didn't talk to him. I didn't want it in my house. But instead of taking the opportunity to show me other things, he completely shut me out.
But it's got to be an open conversation, right? I mean, also you might buy a piece from a gallery, and a few years later you get tired of it, or for whatever reason. That door should always be open. It's a long-term relationship. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They said don't do business with your friends, but to be honest with you, I'd much rather do business with my friends because I'm going to be, giving them the best advice that I can, and giving them the best deal that I can. So I'd rather deal with my friends than with people I don't.
And what is your best advice, like in terms of buying?
Oh, I would say a lot. I'd say take your time.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was the first thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
Ba-ching, take your time.
But then again.
But then sometimes
today,
you lose
taking
it.
your time is not a luxury anymore because
someone else
the market
comes up
is
and buys it.
so hot
Yeah.
that there's waiting lists for so many artists, etc. but then again, also go against the trend.
I was actually worried.
Not for the sake of.
I was
Is that the
actually,
second thing you were going to say?
Yeah, well, no, I was
She's
actually
just saying that
No,
now,
no. The first one was definitely take your time, but I was scared that the first thing would happen to me that someone else would take it on the second piece of art that I bought from you. Remember?
Yes.
I was like, oh no, I want it.
I had to flip a coin.
Did you?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
When I was buying this piece from Gallery
Yeah.
Because there was 2 pieces actually. I thought initially I wanted they were part of a series. They were together. He wanted the top one, so did I. And he very graciously, the guy that was buying it, he'd already bought 2 other pieces from the same artist within that gallery. And he was like, you know what, we're going to flip it. But then he started telling me a story of how he was connected to it. So I kind of felt, actually, he really should have it.
So he actually played you, Nez.
No, but he flipped the coin. He flipped the coin. And he got it.
And he got it.
He got it.
It's meant to be.
Was it his
He
coin?
got it. And then he stood
exactly.
up.
Did you
Then
check
he
both?
Did you
stood
check the
up.
coin?
Then he stood up and he was like
Sounds
8 foot
dodgy.
tall. And I said, if you'd only just stood up, I would have given you that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't
exactly.
need to
Yeah.
flip the coin. But actually, I then understood that the other one was more for me. So everything
Worked out.
Everything worked out.
Everything worked
works
out.
for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, every week, we have these top 5 questions that we ask.
But can we not talk about this?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
this.
My friend's
But
book.
oh, it's your friend's book. I thought it
Yes,
was your
my friend
book.
Christoph.
I love the colours.
Lovely. It
Christoph
says how
Bloch.
not to up your art world happiness.
What does that mean? What's your
How
art
not
world
to
happiness?
fork up your art
I
world
think
happiness.
because of having
60
been active.
tips and tricks
Yes.
on how to stay relaxed and mentally.
Yes, it comes highly
What?
recommended. Have a look.
Yes, highly recommended from
You see,
Fabien!
Fabien. He
So-
said it. We're having it.
Christoph is a dear friend, and he is the creator with his wife of
I want
Larry's
this book.
List, which you might know
Yes,
on
I know
Instagram,
Larry's List, yes.
and the art Gorgeous, which both of you should be on actually. Cordelia, I'll make a note to.
Cordelia!
Cordelia's in charge.
Yes.
She's
this
in
is
charge
good.
of-
I want one of these. Where
Yeah.
do we buy it?
Well, sadly, they're
Online?
sold out,
Sold out.
and I got a bunch.
I'll order it.
I got a bunch as
That's
a
why they're
gift. As a
sold
gift,
Yes.
but I've already
Given
they're
them all out.
dedicated. So when the second
no, it's
print
okay.
run comes out,
Nice.
I'm getting you copies.
Thank you.
As
Thank
a-
you
as a
so
little
much.
present.
That's
Thank
lovely.
you so much.
Okay, so
So-
we're going to do top
Top 5.
five.
Bing,
Five.
bing, bing,
Five.
bing,
Five.
bing.
Five. Five. Okay, darling. Shoot.
Okay, first question.
Fabienne, this is the hot seat.
Okay.
You've got to answer.
Can I start collecting emerging artists? Is that a good strategy for a new collector without big budgets?
The best,
The best?
of course.
Of course.
On the ground with the people of your own age, generation, support them, get involved with them, ask every single question that you feel like to learn, to.
So
you know.
is it good to go to like art colleges and look at the final
Yeah, also,
shows?
absolutely.
and-
Do graduation shows, art fairs.
And also, if you see an impoverished artist, invite him to your restaurant. If you have it, he might draw something. You keep that, as we all know.
Yes, you know the Picasso
Picassos.
story,
yes,
right?
of course.
Tell us
Yes,
the Picasso
and,
story.
and then he
is it
said,
quick?
and then the restaurant owner
yes.
said, would you mind to sign it?
Sign it.
And Picasso said, excuse me, I'm buying dinner. I'm not buying the restaurant.
Right. Second question. I want to start collecting digital art. Is this wise? Didn't it just do a nosedive? What are your thoughts?
Why not?
Have you ever?
It's like saying I'm going to collect art, but only painting.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because somebody
It's-
just wrote to me and said she bought an NFT last year and lost her entire shirt.
But that's why you should buy from passion, right? It should be
Yes.
irrelevant, actually.
But I mean,
Yeah, and you have to buy what you
yeah,
like.
yeah.
It's certainly an interesting medium, I think.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
dabbled
think
in
it
it a
has
little
legs?
bit. I'm sure it has.
And I'm sure technology, as
We'll
fast
get
as
there.
it's going,
Yeah.
like what we see now, I mean, even the difference between last year in Art Dubai, the digital section, to this year,
Was
there's a big change. It's like feels refined is the wrong word, but it feels very different.
Yeah,
The technology
it's evolved
is
already. Yeah, it's evolved.
Technology. I mean, it would be like how we're using, or we used to use cassettes and disc.
DVD
It'll
and
be
stuff.
like something else.
I'm sure at the invention of photography, there was a lot of people thinking,
no, this is never going to. Yeah.
no, they probably think, well,
Yeah.
this is it now. This will take over from painting or something like that, and it's just become another
So true.
medium. And I think the same for NFTs. I think it was hugely over speculated, especially because of very poor content that was being uploaded or dropped. Sorry, the right terminology. But I think it's definitely a very interesting medium.
Also, I think the way it was, like, you know, the famous people, these singers and rap artists, all of a sudden just started pushing it, and a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in them.
Well, I think
and a lot of people do.
Well, I think cryptocurrency and all that world, NFTs. I think NFTs are really interesting in terms of collecting, whether it's music, sport. It's really relevant because it's really for super fans, and it's about developing a relationship either with the sportsman, with the artist, with the musician.
Yeah, but then you had people like Justin Bieber putting up, buy this NFT, it was this monkey or this bear or something. And, you know, people, didn't have, his fans definitely don't have the money for that. But they were trying to push something.
Yeah.
And actually a lot of them, but a lot of them got into trouble for it, right?
Yeah, which happens with anyway, drinks and whatever,
but this, with social media today.
Costs $5.
No, but still, it's like they have a reason why they're doing it.
But the influence these people have, also in the art world, it's like, you know, if I don't know, Pharrell Williams, for instance, or Jay-Z
has bought a
posts an artist that he bought, this maybe has more weight in the commercial market than a major museum show.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
She's a phenomenal artist, English, Jade Futumi.
Right, yes.
And beautiful. I would definitely buy a piece from her, but she's gone crazy. And all of a sudden, but because Alexander Arnault started picking up her work, she went from a few thousand to millions.
That I understand.
Misha,
yes.
You missed my last show.
Which is?
Of Ben Arpea's work. Guess who collects him?
Me. No.
Indeed.
No, yes. Yes.
But I do think all that, you know, the apes and all of that, I feel like that really kicked off during COVID. I feel like there was
when we were all conveniently locked up at home.
Yeah, I feel there was a few bored billionaires out there who wanted to spend their money for tax reasons. It was a game for them. They didn't care because they were going to lose that money. They'd rather lose it on buying inflated, like...
I think they didn't lose their money, though.
No, they didn't. But they just, you know, it was a game.
It's all the others.
So it's now I think it's... Once also, like in terms of laws are put in place, in terms of... I mean, what I do love about that world is it completely
democratizes.
Democratized?
Yes. The art world. So for the artist...
English major.
So for the artist, they will know and they will benefit each time their piece is sold. I love that.
Well, that's also changed. I'm not well informed enough. But I think there's a new platform that kind of got rid of all that.
All that?
No way.
But I think it's very fair to the artists
that's what
that
I
they
loved
should
about it.
They should.
But I think now, I mean,
benefit.
You still have to go back to the traditional ways that if you're an artist, you need to get to a gallery, then you need to get to auction, and then you need to get, for instance, you know, like the Guggenheim, take a piece of yours and stuff like that. That's the natural flow, right?
Yeah.
But it takes years, should take years.
Yeah.
And now it's
unless
very
you're
quick.
Futumi.
Yeah.
Well, if only I could remember half the names of the artists.
But let me tell you, if I could buy one piece, there was a Damien Hirst at the last Fryns, not this one, just the one before in the summer that I went to. Like, I walked into this and I fell in love, but I think he wanted like 20 million or something.
Is that all?
Ridiculous.
I could have lent you the money.
I know,
Misha.
darling. Next week.
Was Ali's line was busy or?
Yeah, no. He's actually not a Damien Hirst fan.
Yeah.
But the work is so vast.
It's so vast.
There's so many different.
Yeah, but he just thinks he's hype.
I don't know. Well, he's not hype.
He's not hype,
Well, he's hype. Hype means for a short period of time.
But he's definitely not.
But
is there any truth that you remember the diamond encrusted skull that they made it and he actually bought it back, or they said it was
apparently with a consortium of people
that bought it back and stuff
just
to keeping
up appearances.
But isn't art, well, like everything, I guess, isn't art only worth as much as someone is willing to pay for it in that room?
Definitely.
Right.
It's a market after all, right? It's offer and demand, which also brings me to I think a very important point is, and I'm sure that's reflected here somehow. You know, it's to sometimes go against the trends, and if you have to join a huge waiting line for an emerging artist,
do it.
Do it. But meanwhile, Also have a look at artists that no one's looking at the moment because they might be maybe mid-career or something like that.
Yeah.
They're totally overlooked. I've made some of my most astute purchases, both from quality of work and also investment-wise, if we can say, not with young emerging artists, but with people who were
there's a
being
few
overlooked.
examples of that, isn't there? And particularly around African art.
That's
there
really
was-
emerging at the moment. That's really
Yeah,
gone.
that's
there's
been
one
booming
particular
the
last
artist,
few
I think
years.
he's in his 70s or 80s, that he's been overlooked, and now he's a photographer actually. His work I think was in the National Portrait, and now he's booming.
And that's what
again.
happens, right? Nobody knows from one day to the next. Again, it's who buys it.
But the thing is, if you really collect, it's not nice to collect under pressure. Like,
Yeah.
here's a painting, you got 5 minutes to decide, you have no choice.
Actually,
It's not the way it should be, right?
Yeah, there was something that obviously I'm obsessed by you, Fabien, but I was doing my research.
Did I hear what did you say?
She's obsessed.
I said
by
I'm
you.
obsessed.
She's obsessed.
Oh my
No,
God.
because I've been reading all about you. It sounds like I am obsessed, but I was.
Someone probably wrote a very good article.
There was lots of articles. I like to do my research on who we're talking to.
Unlike me.
No, but someone asked you.
You don't reach out in the field directly.
What someone asked you what your art pet peeve was, and I thought it was really interesting what you said. Can you remember, or shall I share
Being
it with
stalks. No.
you? Can you remember? Someone asked you, what is your art world pet peeve? And you said, I generally tend to take a very long-term vision when I collect artists' work and never buy solely for speculation.
Right.
Which I believe is happening all the time now here.
Yes, definitely. Actually, as a matter of fact, I like to focus on a handful of artists at a time and collect as much as possible financially and as the work allows it in depth. By this I mean, some artists, excuse me, some artists you can really see an evolution through different series, working in different media, painting, sculpture, drawings, installations, and have you. So I always like to, thank you so much, collect in depth as much as possible. With some artists it's not possible because their style is quite the same all throughout, and once you have one or two works, you kind of tick that box.
But also, don't you find that what happened, that people are not taking time, because all of a sudden there was this huge, amount of wealth. See, we're trilingual. There was this huge influx of wealth all of a sudden, this cyber crypto wealth, right?
Yeah.
So people didn't know. I mean, people were paying, we had someone pay $4.5 million for a $55,000 watch. So this is just under the name of charity. Sure, it was charity for them. But you had people paying so much over the retail price. So it's a game to them. So, and I found that people also were just buying art. I don't care. Like, look, this is going to go. Someone's going to tell me this is going to make money. Let's buy it. I don't care. Just pay.
Yeah.
So everything went through this crypto market where people made obscene amounts of money overnight. There was no time, there was no consideration, there was no thought process into anything. It was just, sure, I've got it, throw it. Let's throw the money at it. Let's throw the money. For me, it's a very ugly thing, but somebody made a lot of money, and then a lot of people lost a lot of money.
So, which brings me to the next question. I'm not sure if I should say it or not, but
please don't ask him out or something. There's this obsession with
married lady.
Oh, darlings, yeah.
I'm interested in supporting Middle Eastern artists. Is this a smart investment, or should I view it as a passion? Is the Saudi market inflated because most artists are commissioned by the government?
Fabien, plead the fifth.
What do you
Plead the fifth.
But actually, could I just go to the point
Yes.
of Middle Eastern artists?
Yes,
That we have prolific artists in the Middle East.
Amazing.
That, and now in their 80s, like Sami Halabi.
Yes.
Who,
What's his name as well? Herrera?
Yeah, so it's
Do you
not
remember
like
Lebanese
people
guy?
are talking
Amazing.
like.
I need to do my education.
You need to do
But
it.
people are
Originally.
talking about the Middle Eastern
What
market. They
about Shafiq
forget
Aboud?
Egypt and all these
Yes.
countries. We have a history of
Of course.
very well-known artists.
Yeah.
And
Amazing
people are
artists.
just kind of viewing like as if we've just started. I think that's a common thread, I think.
But that's a common thread everywhere. Don't you remember? I mean, Iran has always had the most amazing artists, right? Yeah. And it took a long time for Iranian art to boom, right?
Correct.
It wasn't just, and people forgot there were, I mean, incredible artists, right? Yeah. And then it was just, so I feel that Middle Eastern art, or Arabic, in the regional art, is where sort of maybe Persian art was maybe 15 years ago.
Well, you had a big boom here, no? In the 2006, 2008, I believe, in the market.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, 2008, that's when things...
that's when it started
difficult
to...
time.
Yes. And I mean, apart from the financial crisis, was there any reason for that happened? Or was interest just dwindled? Or?
Maybe my credit card got lost or something. I don't know.
Misha had moved back to London, so all of a sudden, all the luxury brands, retail went down. The whole world collapsed.
Well, it's good she's back.
Yes, good she's back. She's coming back to buy a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on because we'll ignore the second part.
Ignore the second one. Thank you very much, Nez.
Question number 4.
4.
We're back to digital art. Digital art.
Listen, I'm told you're not being very fun just because Fabien's here because you want to appear to be ladylike. What happened to 4? 4.
No, wait. 4.
Not 4.
Digital art is so confusing to buy. Can I buy without a wallet or a Bitcoin or whatever the correct phrases are? Help! I am lost. That was in capital letters.
Yes. SOS. I don't know, actually. Yes, I think there's NFT shops, I think.
Oh,
but you still need a wallet, I believe.
You need a wallet.
You need a wallet.
I actually won an NFT. Wait, there's an artist here called Dia. He's he does the calligraphy. Very good. I've got a couple of pieces from him. I like him very much.
Well, you've got a couple of digital pieces.
No,
just
proper pieces. And which I commissioned. My husband and I commissioned. So for some reason, he did something on Instagram, and I won an NFT. And he said, "You have to get in a wallet." I said, "I have a wallet. It's in my bag." He said, "No." He said, "Yes." He said, "No, you have to get a proper wallet." I said, "You know what? Give it to somebody else. What am I going to do with it?"
Okay.
Dia, maybe I'll take it.
I have an NFT portrait that was offered by an artist of myself and some of my fellow friends and collectors. And it's actually on a blue background. And it's my...
taking note.
How do you
call
this?
Portrait.
My code,
Your credit card? No.
No, not the credit card. The what's it called?
I have no idea.
What code?
Your
wallet
handle.
Your
handle. What's it called?
No.
For your wallet.
For your wallet code. Oh.
Yeah. That's actually the portrait.
The password. Isn't
so it's
there
not
that
figurative.
Whole thing about
it's conceptual.
Forgetting? Yeah.
Okay.
It's like you're being personalized by.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Code.
Do you like that?
It doesn't look like me much.
Okay, that's fine. I'd want it to
Okay,
look like
question 5, last question.
5. This is the last question.
Question 5.
Question 5.
Hello. Oh, sorry. Hello. Hello.
5. Already?
Yes,
Already. Are there key artists? Are there key artists to keep an eye on? How do I find who these are? Is it best to follow a style or a region?
It's best to follow your heart.
Yes, exactly.
I think the running theme has been passion.
Passion.
If you don't want to look at it on your walls, please don't buy it.
Yeah.
No one, unless you're buying a Picasso or a Monet or or a Jade, then you just really, I think you just have to buy it for you love it. Am I right?
I think so, absolutely. It doesn't have to be an easy buy. Maybe what I would do also is, again, take your time and maybe have a look at things that maybe you don't like in the first instance and explore, why do I not like this work? And then as you know more about the artist and the work in particular, maybe you discover things that actually you do like. Because not everything that's visually pleasant is necessarily interesting to the mind and vice versa.
Yeah.
But if I don't have
it's important to do your research.
Yes, but if I understand that you should do your research, but I mean, if it's up to $50,000, I mean, it's fine, right? As long as you love it. It's not that you have to sit and think about it and do stuff. But if, for instance, you walk into a place and you're drawn to something, I don't even think about it. I just...
Well,
if you love it, you
That's
have to buy it.
That's basically what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that taking time.
So you're very
sure,
impulsive.
Very impulsive.
Me too.
I mean,
I'm too impulsive.
me
I can't
too.
control it.
Yes.
So
I mean,
we're the
I'm
3
not-
impulsives here.
Three
I'm
broke.
not sure if
what are we gonna
my
do? We're
impulses
doomed.
are as wise as any, like...
Hold on, we're 3 broke
We are doomed.
impulses.
Yeah, 3 broke impulses.
It's like that was it, 2 broke girls. Remember that funny TV show?
Well, you two might be. I'm not.
No, exactly. No, but for me, if I don't love it, I don't care how much research I've done or then.
But also
I
for
need to
me,
see it.
it's the whole experience.
Definitely.
It's also if I can meet the artist. Say, if there have been times where I've popped in somewhere, I met the artist,
Or meet the gallery owner and
Or met
stalk
the
them.
gallery, stalk
And run away.
Stalk the
Yeah.
guy, yes, no.
No, but also the gallerist, you know, like if I, you know, with like Laurie Shabibi, for example, or
Yeah.
Sunny
Yes.
and Third Line, and also Karosh, actually, with Carbon 12, I bought a few people, like, and Experimenta, Pakistani, South Asian gallerists, I love those guys. Then I'm always watching to see
What they bring.
they're doing, who they've
Yeah.
got. There have been times where I've been lucky enough to meet the artists, and I've gone, wow, I didn't think about buying their work. And then all of a sudden I think, I want to also contribute, like support their work. and-
Effie Gallery doing a fantastic program with African artists.
Yes, yeah,
Across the
I
road
saw that,
from
yeah.
Azergal.
I had a
also.
good time with
have to
them at the
admit,
art
like,
gallery.
I
Art
used
Dubai.
to-
Yes, they're wonderful people.
Yeah.
When Mike used to be head of Christie's here, Mike Jihad, who was head of Christie's Middle East,
It's
I
Misha
used
showing off
to,
again.
no. I've known him since I was 14. So he
'Cause we
he
both
would
went
send
to
the
private school
catalogs
together at
No,
Knightsbridge.
stop it. So he used to send all the catalogs through and stuff. And I remember there was one time he sent a catalog, a woman on the front of this that was coming up for auction. To this day, I cannot remember the artist, but I saw this woman on this painting, and I thought, my God, I didn't grow up with my mother. It was a long story, but she reminded me of my mother.
Oh, wow.
That painting now hangs in my house,
Yeah.
like as at the one of the entrance
That gave
pieces.
me chills, Misha.
Yeah, no, honestly, but it's just because I had this attachment to something on a page, and I said to Mike, "Should I buy it?" He said, "If you love it, buy it." I'm not sure it's gone up a great deal in value or whatever. I've never
Doesn't
checked.
matter,
I don't
yeah.
know. It matters
Doesn't matter.
nothing to me. And when it came up, I said, "Okay." And my brother-in-law bid on it here for me. He just kept, going, and then it came, and it's been in my house.
So,
since
some things
then.
that just
Yeah.
become part of your
Part of your life,
existence,
yeah,
your life, it doesn't matter the commercial value,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
that's very important.
I had a crazy connection to this. It was a mixed media piece, actually, of a little boy, don't laugh, and a cat, because I'm a cat woman.
She is Catwoman.
Oh.
But I was so drawn to this piece, I could not tell you. It was like as if it was like a vortex.
Yeah.
And it was actually Esma and Laurie Shabibi, and I just had to have it. It was like, I walked in, saw it, I got
That
to
was
have
it,
it.
yeah.
Turned out I was pregnant with my son, and I'm sure there was a connection, like I just knew there was. I think it's more than just.
It's more than that. It
Yeah.
just talks to you. But
Your
this,
body just tells you.
this has to come.
Is there a final piece?
Final
pearls
word of
pearls
wisdom.
of wisdom.
Fabien.
I'm sure you have more words of wisdom than I have.
Oh,
But,
you're being bashful.
But no, I think it's also important to follow your heart and buy with your eyes and not with your ears, because a lot of people are like asking purely for investment. If I buy this today, what's it going to be worth in 5 years?
Yeah, I hate that.
Well, if I knew that, I mean, so I think you have to really buy what you like. It's okay to ask other people's opinions, but don't let it guide you necessarily too much. Because it's always this thing. The best works I've bought, in a sense, are that people, when I bought them, they told me I'm crazy,
Yeah.
and 5 years later they told me how lucky I was
Yeah.
that I bought them at the time. So go with your gut feeling.
Go with your gut.
That's
Buy
a
what
great
you
way.
love
Yeah.
and love what you buy.
Thank you
And
so
enjoy
much.
it.
Indeed.
Thank
you see,
so
words
much,
of wisdom.
Fabien. Yeah, words of wisdom.
Thank you both.
Thank you so
you.
much.
So nice to see you
It's a
again.
pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.